Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of the Money Mastermind Academy. This is a pre-recorded segment. Unfortunately, I am still in Facebook jail, but I will be back live again next week, I promise. Tonight, we have our guest with us, Mr. Thomas Ambush. Now, as you know, the purpose of the Academy is to give real information and to give you a backstory. Darius and I, the co-founder of the Academy, I was in a frustrating moment and I was ranting and ranting about all these gurus pretty much selling misinformation and selling worthless courses to the very people who they claim to uplift. And Derek said one thing to me that woke me up, and he said, do something about it. That's all he said. Do something about it. So the purpose of the academy is to decipher through pretty much all the bullshit, to give it to you straight and narrow, to make you understand that there is no shortcuts to success. You got to take the same path that everyone who's successful took, because the information that these people sell you is not the information that made them rich. I'm going to say it again. The information that they sell you is not the information that made them rich. What made them rich was selling you the information. So a lot of those courses are worthless. A lot of the information is worthless. Some information could actually get you landed in jail. So you got to be real careful about who you get the information from. But that's the whole purpose of the academy, is to bring on real people, real guests, giving real value, giving real information. And tonight we have, again, Mr. Thomas Ambush. He is a professional insurance agent. And could you give us a little background about you real quick?
Absolutely, man. So Thomas Ambush again, 27-year-old, originally from the streets of Alexandria, Louisiana.
The
Real
book.
country, as they say. Recently moved out here to Cincinnati, Ohio, a couple years ago. I was just looking for a change, whether it's scenery, the things that I'm around, definitely was looking for a change. So we landed here in Ohio, me and my significant other.
All right. And how long have you been doing insurance or dealing with insurance?
So I have been dealing with insurance going on 3 years now.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but my background, majority of my background is in marketing and sales. Started off doing a lot of door-to-door sales, if you ever can imagine how hard that is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, started off with that with telecommunications, AT&T, Verizon, pest control, you name it. I've probably sold it. So that sales in itself wasn't, a big hurdle, but I wanted to transition into, something that's really going to help people throughout their life.
The one thing about sales, not only does it build character, but you have to have a strong sense of people skills. The fact that you was going door to door tells me already that you have amazing people skills and
Man,
amazing courage, because I have friends now in or that live on the East Coast. And as you know, right now, a lot of people are having financial challenges. And oftentimes I tell them, move, go to the Midwest, go to the South where it's more affordable, where you get more value of life, and they won't do it. So when you say that you uprooted from the South and you moved to the Midwest, it takes a lot of courage to do that. So definitely cool. And the fact that your significant other did it with you. So
right.
that shows the leadership in your household. You know what I'm saying? So definitely give you props for that. Definitely give you props for that. So I think one of the first questions I want to ask is, I think when it comes to our people, that's my cat, Jesus Christ. When it comes when it comes to our people, I I think we have this morbid relationship when it comes to insurance, because there are so many that don't have it. And when I have conversations with certain people and I say, well, look, you know what he's out in the streets doing. And I'm not trying to be morbid, but we know that day gonna come. First and foremost, we all gonna die one day. That's for certain. We were actually born to die, is what we do in between birth and death. So when I tell people put insurance on an individual, it seems like there's this morbid sense that our people have with insurance. Have you ever thought about why?
So when I first got into this insurance game, it was somebody told me it was two things that are guaranteed. That's death and taxes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Right? And for some reason, our mind has been conformed to not want to talk about the things that are guaranteed to happen.
Mm. You're absolutely right. You're right. Because even when I mention it, like even with my own wife,
Yeah.
when I talk about insurance with her, I don't want to talk about that. It's like it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like
You
it's
ever
going to
heard
happen.
people that are like, "Oh, I'm fine until I go to the doctor." Soon as
Absolutely right.
the
If they
doctor,
go, if
wrong,
they go, you're absolutely right. You're
right?
absolutely right.
And so they think as soon as you talk about life insurance, then you're just pretty much signing your death certificate or something.
And that's the point I want to really get at because it seems like, and I think sometimes certain cases that's been sensationalized. Like here in St. Louis recently, we had a case where a man had a life insurance policy on his nephew, hired someone out of Memphis to come to St. Louis and put a hit on his nephew so he could claim the insurance. So I think a lot of times with our people, we think in terms of, well, if they know it's insurance on me, they may do something to me, which is very unrealistic. Very unrealistic.
Very much.
So very much. So for the people that don't know, like me, what would be the difference between whole life insurance and term life insurance? And I ask because there are certain agents that get commission off the insurance they sell, and I don't know if maybe the commission is one commission is higher than the other. You know what I'm saying? So, and I think most people don't understand the difference between what's whole life and what's term. As myself, I don't know the difference.
And so that's the biggest issue as well. Not even just our people, but people in general. They're very highly miseducated about life insurance and about the difference between the two.
Yes, sir.
Because a lot of times, even with our older individuals, because back in about the 80s, early 90s, life insurance became really big. But they didn't know anything, like you said, the difference in term life and whole life. So a lot of agents, what they were doing, they were just signing people up with the term life, but telling them it was whole life.
And
So
not to cut you off, that happened to my father. When my father, I lost my dad just under 2 years ago, and he was 83. But we didn't know that his insurance expired at 80. We didn't know. And I'm pretty sure my dad didn't know. My dad was probably under the assumption that he had whole life insurance, but he had term life. So you're absolutely correct. That happened to my dad.
yeah, and that's where I get a lot of customers from. They've had that bad taste in their mouth about it because somebody had something happen in their family. They thought there was a policy in place, but didn't know that they were set up on term life, so it expired, so they couldn't get funds. So now they got to do barbecues and fish fries and try to bear.
GoFundMe.
So, but the difference between the two. So I like to break it down
Yes, sir.
first. So I'd like to think of term life as renting. So you're kind of
Mm.
renting your policy, right? It only covers you for a certain amount of time, right? The
Yes, sir.
highest they'll do is a 30-year term, right? And that depends on how old you are, right? So we all know life insurance goes off of age and health, right? Those are the biggest two components because they want to see how much of a risk you are when they're trying to give out all of this money,
So is
right?
that the reason why they always ask questions like, "Are you a smoker?"
Correct, because they know with tobacco users you're a higher risk because of lung cancer, the whole nine.
Hmm.
So with term insurance, it's typically cheaper because it only covers you for a certain amount, and then it doesn't lock in your cost of insurance and it doesn't lock in your health. right?
Mm, mm.
So say for instance, you're a 30-year-old healthy person, and they get you signed up with the best term. Let's say it's a 30-year term. If you don't plan on expiring in 30 years, one, you are no longer covered. Two, you don't get any of that money back that you put into it.
Wow.
And then three, now you're 30 years older and 9 times out of 10 less healthy.
Mm.
So now you have to requalify for life insurance. And then at
Wow.
that time is pretty expensive, right?
Wow. 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 Yeah.
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 Uh, so term insurance is not all bad. Let me put that out there. It's not all bad. There are pros and cons to each one. So people for term insurance, that's more for people who have big assets that they need covered, right? So like houses, cars, college tuition. If you just
you could put you could put you could put possessions under term life insurance.
Absolutely. So what most people do, say you just bought a house and it's cost 350,000. You'll buy that much in term insurance, term life insurance. That way, if you do, because nobody knows the time nor the hour,
That's right. Nobody. That's right. That's right.
it could expire within those 30 years. So if you do expire within those 30 years, cool. Now that is in place so that way that bill doesn't go to any of your family members when you pass away. So if you have it set up in your will to that house to go to one of your descendants, cool. Now they're getting an asset, a debt-free asset, instead of having to take over those bills.
Wait a minute. You
We
just blew
just
me
getting
away.
started. We just getting started.
Man, you just blew me. Oh, continue. Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah. You can also, like I said about the college education, you can put it. You can have enough to where, so you can get $1 million in term insurance. Cool. You pass away, now your kids are set for school. They don't have to pay that college tuition, or they can use it. If they want to start businesses. The whole nine.
Wow, wow.
You
Okay.
have to be able to cover all your debt. This is the stuff that the rich are doing that we thought we're not educated enough to do ourselves. So all that debt that people are going to get, turning debt into assets,
Correct.
they're getting that same amount in life insurance. So when they pass away, it's all taken care of.
So just to backtrack, all right, like I'm 52.
Uh huh.
My wife is 24. All right,
Okay.
just to backtrack, I could get term life insurance, which it'll be a little bit more expensive because of my age, even though I'm in good health. Because of
Right.
my age, it'll be a little bit more. So I could put my home, my vehicles, I could put all my possessions into that term life. And on the day I expire, my wife will be debt free.
Correct.
Oh my God. Oh, continue. Wow. I did not know this. I'm blown away. Like I'm literally blown away.
You can even take it a step further. This is how the Rockefellers and the Vanderbilts and all those guys. This is how they were able to build wealth for generations, right? When you talk about that generational wealth,
Correct?
one of the first early, Rockefellers, they had a huge life insurance policy, right? So they got it set up in a trust to where the trust is the beneficiary, not a person, but the trust was the beneficiary, right? So when that person died, all those funds went to the trust. So now they have it set up to where each family member can borrow, take loans from the trust to be able to start businesses, to be able to do whatever they need to do, to be able to feed back into the policy.
Wow. Wow.
And they just
Wow.
rinse and
I'm gonna say something real quick because I recently seen this. young woman, African American. She works under Dave Ramsey,
Hmm.
which I think gives horrible advice. And she went on a rant saying that the difference in the generational wealth gap between our people and others was what we pay for car payments, right? And she said that the average car payment for someone with, let's say, less than good credit was about 700 a month. And of course, she went on a rant about, oh, but if you put 700 a month into an account and it does 30%, you're no, that all that old, what I call sound smart to dumb people information, right?
Right.
What you just said was so pragmatic and so simple that anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. And this is the crazy part. You just explained not only what generational wealth is and how to build generational wealth, but the reason why there is such a wide wealth gap between us and them. And you know who them are. Because unfortunately, like you say, when we pass, it's barbecues,
Go.
GoFundMe's. When they pass, prime example, my next door neighbor, her mom passed 6 months ago. Six
Mm,
months ago, her mom left her $450,000 insurance policy, and she told me this off her mouth. House paid for, vehicles paid for, son college paid for, everything, because her mom had the knowledge to say, "I want to leave something behind." And I think that's the reason why there's such a disparity between generational wealth between us and them. Now, something I learned recently,
hmm.
uh, Gerber Life, the makers of baby food and baby products, they have an insurance policy for newborns, babies, and children. Now, would you suggest that, like put insurance on your baby?
So absolutely, right? Because and so this kind of backtracks into what we were talking about, the difference in the term life and the whole life, right? So
Yes.
notice I never went into the benefits of whole life. I just
Whole
talked
life, correct,
term,
correct.
right? So with whole life, it covers you like you said, like it states your whole life, right? Now agents are more in declination of selling it because it is typically more expensive because it covers you for that whole life, right?
Hmm.
But what it does, it locks in your cost of insurance and it locks in your health, right? So the what you pay starting out is what you'll be paying until the end of time.
Correct,
And let's just say you're super healthy today, and then 5 months later you get stage 4 cancer.
correct.
Cool, nothing changes in your policy. They're
Wow,
still looking at you were healthy when you first started this policy,
correct.
right? So and what it also does, it builds what you call a cash value, right? Now, what this does, when you pay your monthly premium, a piece of it goes towards your death benefit, and then a piece goes towards what they call basically a cash value savings account. So what
Mm.
this value savings account does, it builds over time at a 4.5% interest rate, right? To where you can be able to borrow from tax free to be able to start investments, to be able to pay off debt, to be able to do anything while you're alive. You can use this while you're alive.
Wow,
Pay yourself back on a monthly basis, interest free.
wow, wow.
So you know how you go to a car dealership and let's just say you can't pay for it in cash right then and there, and so you have to take out this crazy loan with this crazy interest rate, and the first 7 months you're paying all interest,
Correct, correct.
right? But you let's just say you've built up this cash value, and now you can go take this 30,000 that you didn't put in this cash value, go pay it, buy a car, or buy whatever, put a down payment on a home, and now you're paying yourself back every month interest free.
this, I hope you people are listening to this information. I hope you contact Mr. Ambush at the end of this. Like this, if I am overwhelmed, and I consider myself to be somewhat educated, but I am overwhelmed with the information I'm hearing right now because, of course, I've heard people on social media say, you know, you could be the bank. You know what I'm saying? Create the bank. And now I understand what they mean by when they say you can create the bank through your insurance. Wow. So when you talk about putting insurance on the kids, the babies,
Yeah,
how would that benefit them?
because again, what are the two things that insurance is based off of?
Health and age.
Health and age, right? So the younger you are, the
Ah,
insurance.
ah, got it, got it. So the premium to be lower because I read about again going back to Gerber's that they had and Globe Life. They both have an insurance policy for newborns, babies, and children. And my understanding is that if you put the insurance on them at a extremely early age, when they turn 18, it actually doubles. And when they turn 21, the policy is turned over to them and they can either cash it out or keep moving forward and the premiums don't change. They will still be paying the same amount. You see, it started click. It started click. The premiums don't change and they be paying the same amount that their parents started paying when they were 2 months old. So
Precise.
people, I want you to understand this, sir. Imagine paying $20 a month or $30 a month or whatever the premiums may be for your baby. Your
Do
baby
you
turns.
not
Go
to
ahead.
cut, but do you know the youngest age you can put life insurance on a child?
No,
15 days old.
get the fuck out of here, man.
15 days old.
And that policy, that premium is going to be extremely low.
I'm talking about under $10. Some of them.
$10 a month for 18 years, doubles at the age of 18. They could cash out at 21. You actually giving your child a chance. Only thing you have to do is have the tools to teach them fiscal and financial responsibility. You actually giving your child a chance. I don't know about them, man, but I'm absolutely blown away. I am. So
Now,
now, do you work for a particular company or you your own agent?
so right now we're working through a company. We have a partnership with. It's called Innovative Financial Solutions. So we are a brokerage through different life insurance companies. So what we do, we find you the best coverage for the best price.
Right,
I don't say cheap
right, right, right.
because most times you get what you pay for. We don't do cheap, but we do affordable.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I get it. And I'm telling you, the more I'm listening to you, the more I'm really starting to understand the generational wealth gap. I am. Because again, from personal experience, I've had relatives past that didn't have insurance. You know, and you put that financial strain on your relatives because I know for a fact in St. Louis, there are certain funeral homes, they would send your body back to the morgue if they don't get that check. You know what I'm saying? Like, they would ship it back to the morgue if they don't get that check. So let's say if you have a healthy male,
Mm-hmm.
25. First of all, how do they go off of if you're healthy or not? Do you have to do a physical? Do you have to
So you don't
turn in medical records?
do check your medical records.
Okay. Okay. So they will check the medical records.
So that's why when I'm asking people certain questions, like for instance, if they're a tobacco user, right? I'll ask them, "Cool, are you a tobacco user?" They say yes. Then I ask, "Is it in your medical records?"
Mm.
That is,
Mm.
you could be a smoker, but it's not in your medical records. And if it's not
Wow.
medical records, you're not considered a tobacco user.
That's good to know. But you know, unfortunately, most people will probably admit to their physician because I smoked for 20 years and right now I'm 5 years smokeless. Like I haven't had a cigarette in 5 years. I can't even stand the smell of smoke anymore. You know what I'm saying? So, but I did smoke for over 20 years, and I know at that time the insurance company that I was with when I was living in Miami, I ended up letting that lapse. And
Mhm.
this is the one thing I know about insurance. Life insurance is a lot like auto insurance. But once you start paying it, it's over. Like it ain't, you know, it ain't no refunds. It ain't no, it is
That's what's
absolutely.
crazy. I remember the video you had made where you were saying that auto insurance is required, right? Health
Abs-
insurance is required.
Absolutely.
Life insurance is the only thing that's not. You know why? That's the
So,
only thing the government doesn't get a piece of.
oh wow! So artist, I want you to understand what he's saying. I made a video, and on the video, I said that was leading up to what we're doing tonight. I said, have you ever asked yourself? Have you ever asked yourself why is it required you get auto insurance? Why is it required you get homeowners insurance, but it's not required that you get life insurance? And that's the answer.
Because it's never guaranteed that you're going to get in a car accident,
That's
but it's
right.
hard to have auto insurance.
That's right.
It's not always required. You're going to need to go to the hospital, but you have to have health insurance.
That's right. That's right.
But it's guaranteed you're going to die, but life insurance is not required.
And you said the reason is because the government.
The government doesn't get a piece. When that policy is released, those funds are tax free.
Oh wow.
So I run into quite a few people that's like, oh well, it's all I have enough money to cover that, to cover my funeral, right? But what they don't know is all their income, if it's not tied up in certain things, has to go through what they call a probate court.
That's right. That's
That's
right.
held up for
That's right.
up to 90 days or more.
That's right. That's right.
They're not gonna hold your body for that long,
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. So
right?
my question is, and, and, and I'm gonna be honest, I'm still shocked at what you said earlier about you could put all of your properties into your insurance. Why don't agents tell you that? Like I've never had an agent tell me, "Hey Mo, why don't you put your house and your car and I've never had an agent say, "Do you have a will?" Like you've spoken about having a will because when you talk about probate, the only way to really avoid probate is either insurance or have a will. So why more agents? Or is it because they don't know or they don't care?
Honestly, it could be a thing of both
Right.
because they don't
Right.
get paid. They don't get paid any extra to tell you those things,
True. Even though
right?
they know. Even yeah, you're right.
But that's where I tried to separate Ambush Financial Solutions from the rest. We want to give the education behind everything, right?
Wow.
So the whys behind it. Why is
Wow.
important? The difference between this and that, so you know full on what you're getting into.
So what would you think is the a proper or average amount for someone to take out an insurance policy for? No, it's 100,000, 200,000, a million.
I say it's whatever you feel you need it for. If you really just need it for to cover funeral expenses, you really don't need more than 50,000,
Right.
right? Because you want to take into account inflation. You know, inflation doubles every 20 years.
Right.
You know, so what costs 10,000 today in 20 years, it'll cost 20,000.
That's right.
Depending on what kind of, whether you want to be cremated, whether you want to be buried, those are different prices. To be cremated takes no more than like 10,000, depending on where you live. The average funeral right now is 20,000.
Whoa,
Unless you
whoa,
just
whoa, whoa, whoa. The average funeral is how much?
The average funeral in the U.S. is $20,000.
Jesus Christ. Jesus. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
20. God.
and that's another conversation when you get to the funeral home. they
Right, right,
they
right.
get commission on how much they can get you to spend.
Oh, wow.
So when they coming around talking about, oh, Miss Mary, I know your son would love to have this and that, and they're salesmen as well. So they're trying to upsell you
Right, right.
on the best stuff to get the best commission.
And you know the one thing I seen, speaking of a funeral, right now they're doing these funerals where it's almost like the person who is unalive is alive. Like I seen one with the guy standing up with a blunt in his mouth. I seen one sitting on a motorcycle. I said, I'm like, what the? They airbrushing the coffins.
Yeah, I seen those too.
I'm like, man, what is going on? Like, that's that. But you know something? Now that you mention it, it's the funeral home that's suggesting these services, especially once they know how much the policy's for. If you have an insurance policy,
Yep,
so if I'm an insurance, if I'm a funeral home and I know that this person has a $50,000 policy, I'm gonna try to get at least 35 of that,
at least.
at least, because I've seen some pretty extravagant funerals, which I don't like. I said, me and my wife, we've had this conversation. It's like, listen, when I go, make it simple. You don't even have to tell anybody. You know what I mean? Like you ain't gotta announce it. You ain't gotta put it on social media. Like it is what it is. I'm no longer here. You know what I'm saying? I am no longer here. So and I really mean that because if I've known people to where you ever had a conversation and somebody's name comes up and they be like, hey man, so and so died 6 months ago. You're like, damn. You know what I mean?
Hey,
Like,
didn't even know.
didn't even know. Like, and that's pretty much like how I feel. Like, listen, when I'm gone, I'm gone. And that's a conversation that I had with my mother. I was blessed, very blessed, to be by my mother's side when she took her very last breath. You know what I'm saying? And the last thing my mother told me was, "Look, take care of your dad. Your father was a great man. He always treated me good. Take care of your dad." And my father, her funeral was simple. It was extremely simple. And she asked to be cremated. You know, and she was. And even with my father, when I lost my father kept it really simple. He was like, "Look, man, don't spend a whole lot of money. I'm not here no more." You know what I mean? Like, I won't be around to see it. So the rest of the night is yours. Whatever lasting words you want to say, let people know how they can contact you. And also at the end of the video, I'm gonna print whatever you say, how they can contact you, any phone numbers, emails, any specialized services that you offer. And I want to say, people, like, I would definitely reach out to Mr. Ambush, me personally, and I will even post this. I'm going to call him myself tomorrow for my wife and I. We're going to go ahead and do the life insurance policies with his company. I will post what we got, because the information, again, in order to get real information from real people, that means that's a real person. And again, I'm blown away. I am absolutely blown away by the information that he shared with us tonight, because a lot of these things I did not know. And for me personally, I want to make sure that my wife is taken care of. I want to make sure my children are taken care of, whether it be in life or death. Like I tell my wife all the time, look, I'm gonna take care of you in my death. And by that I mean with the insurance policies. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, and anything you want to share at the end?
Pretty much, I really want to, talk to the people about um,
It's your floor. Go. It's yours.
priorities when it comes to, certain things. Because believe it or not, right, I never try to make people pay too much, because I want them to, be able to pay it over time.
Absolutely. I understand. Trust me. I understand that.
Life insurance is the first thing to go when it comes into crunch time.
Mm.
We'll keep our subscriptions for Netflix and what's the other one, Stars, and all these other subscriptions. We'll keep our shoe budget. We'll keep these other things, but when it comes down to priorities, life insurance is usually the first to go, right? Because it's one of the things that's not required. So it's like, why should I keep it, right?
Mm.
But the importance is over time, you can do a lot of things with it. It doesn't just have to be for when you pass away. You can use it while you're alive, depending on what policy you get. And make sure you're getting the education. Make sure they're breaking it down. Whoever your agent is, that doesn't even have to be me. I even tell my best of friends, don't go with me because I'm your best friend. Go with me because I'm the best situation for your family.
Mm. Yes,
Right.
sir. Yes, sir.
So make sure you're getting the education from your agent. Make sure you're asking a lot of questions. Don't just sit there and look at the number and be like, "Oh yeah, that's cheap. Let's go with that." All right, because you definitely want to know what you're getting into. You don't want to be sold term insurance when you're thinking it's whole life, because what the agent will do, they'll sign you up for it. By the time you realize that it's not what you got, he didn't already got paid. He or she didn't already got paid, so they're not worried about it anymore.
That's crazy. And I remember hearing a young lady on TikTok, when she said, do you know the reason why they call it life insurance, not death insurance? They call it life insurance. And the point you made is so much you can do with it. You know what I'm saying? It's literally creating your own bank. It's literally creating, potential generational wealth for those behind you. You know what I'm saying? So how can people get in contact with you personally?
So yeah, I'm on pretty much all platforms. Facebook, Thomas Ambush, or you can go to my business page, which is Ambush Financial Solutions. Instagram is Mr. Goated with Assets. So that's Mr.Goated.WITH.ASSETS. Same thing on TikTok, Mr. Goated with Assets. Even on LinkedIn.
All platforms.
All platforms.
All platforms. That's right. That's right. And also, guys, I want to mention also that Mr. Ambush and his significant other, when I tell you, when it comes to a family that hustle together, and we're gonna have her on here pretty soon. Like, we gotta get her to be able to balance motherhood, being a wife, the household, and the woman gotta have 20 hustles, man. Like your wife like a Nigerian, man. She got, you know what I'm saying? Like she like Kevin Gates. I got 2 phones, 10 jobs. Like, hey, she do not play. She don't play. And
And
you
as
definitely blessed with a good one, man.
gonna be even more.
Absolutely, absolutely. So hey, listen, everybody tuning in, I appreciate you. Please reach out to me, reach out to Mr. Ambush. And again, I am going to post my policies. So I'm gonna be the message that I bring to you guys. You guys have a good night. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
All right.